Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Maps and Graps. And this is an interview, so you know it's Chats and Graps. As always, I am your host, Lyric Swinton. I am so excited to be here today. You may know him, but if you don't know him, you've heard of him definitely if you've been watching AEW for any amount of time. We have Monteasy on the show. How are you today?
Peace. I'm doing the peace of government. I'm sorry. I'm doing great. I'm doing wonderful. I'm just getting back in the swing of things. A lot of promoting stuff I'm doing, a lot of stuff that's going on. Staying diligent, staying focused, and I appreciate the platform and the opportunity. I love what you're doing. Been watching what you've been doing for a long time. It is very, very good to see someone of our creed and our kind making moves in this respective game, which is not easy to do. So I'm very happy for you and proud of what you're doing as well, Queen. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. And I'm glad that you mentioned that you have a lot coming down the pipeline. And so there's a lot to cover, but let's get started with the album. So I believe like you have an album, on the way. So talk a little bit about that. You've been obviously doing music for a while. What makes this project so different from the things that you've released in the past?
Thank you for that. I honestly wanted to pivot kind of in a sense
Mhm.
because I've been one of the most known theme song guys for in wrestling for 10 years now. This past my 10-year anniversary. So now that I'm solidified in that, I wanted to kind of blend both worlds and release my actual project called Erica's Son 2, which is pretty much a diary of my life. It is with wrestling music, I can kind of just crank songs out, because it's been something that I've been doing is like kind of by memory. But now I'm actually releasing my first personal project in 3 years called Erica's Son 2. My mom's name Erica. So it's basically, her son is just a diary of my life. I'm releasing this project in June. I'm releasing it independently on a website called Even Biz, which artist sells their music independently instead of just like going straight to streaming platforms. You can sell it independently to go straight to the consumer so that they can buy the music. I'm selling this music independently so that everybody can just get it. They can stream it. It'll come with certain packages, certain tier packages for fans who want, to get the album early or get video shout outs or autographs, things like that. So I'm going to direct to consumer, the Nipsey Hustle route on this. And I believe that I'm always a guy that's always open. I respond to everybody. I talk to everybody. So there's a direct to fan approach with this album that I'm dropping. Features Twista through R&B,
Oh, wow.
the rap legend Twista. That song actually I'm releasing called Flow Watch Chapel with Twista is releasing on the 24th of this month in April. It'll be direct to consumer. You can just go to my website and buy the song. Um, that's something in my spirit has told me to start doing it the more unconventional rather than just going straight to streaming platforms with this. It will eventually be on streaming platforms, but not immediately. So I have that on there. I have obviously my brother, AEW, future AEW champion, Swerve Strickland's on there. He'll be on the album. My man Anthony King, who used to do the AEW wrap up, still does them. The AEW wrestling wrap ups, he will be on there. I have a lot of great guests that are on there. My man, the Hustle, as you might know him as Music Soul Child, he's
Oh,
on the
wow.
project. He's on the album as well. So yeah, got some heavy hitters, man. Got the
Definitely.
heavy hitters is on this project. So I'm excited about this.
Yeah, those are some big names, super exciting stuff. And you talked about the direct to the consumer route. I feel like the music business in this streaming era is changing so much of how we consume things, about how fans want to see things, and also how artists get paid. And so I think that is very important for, artists have to make a living as well. And the current streaming, I would say, setup isn't really conducive for that. So I think that that's a really great idea. I'll be sure to link the website in the description for this for anybody who's looking to engage with this project and stay on the lookout for it. But shifting gears a little bit, so you talked about wrestling. What do you have coming down the wrestling pipeline potentially?
Well, man, there's so much in the wrestle world that's happening. If as you guys know, on this great chat and grants master grants platform, I just did the music video with Shane Taylor for STP. That music video will be on AEW music channel coming soon. I went to Texas, shot the music video with my brother. Shout out to Shane Taylor for the opportunity. So that video is should be released soon whenever AEW wants to put it out. But they have it. It's coming. I always get tweets and comments on my YouTube. When's the Shane Taylor song coming out? When's the song coming out, guys? AEW has it. It's on them. I'm thankful for them for the opportunity to make another song for a prominent person in the company. So that will be out. I just released my song for Willie Mack called The Mac, which is out right now on all digital platforms. Just released last week. Make sure you guys check that out. So stream that record. I have me and The Hustle. Obviously, The Hustle is the alter ego of Music Soul Child. I have to say that so people know who I'm talking about. That way, me and him are collaborating on a wrestling project together. So,
Music Soul Child is working on a wrestling project.
Me and him are doing one together. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So we are getting in the studio to work on some songs. We have 2 songs done right now. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to put out an EP, maybe with like 6-7 songs, probably by the end of the year. We are working on it. Everybody that is asking about that, we're getting in the studio. We all working on some records. He's, when he's his alter ego, Music Soul Child, he's all over touring. He just did Wembley, where AEW is going to be. He just did Wembley, so he's a busy man. But we are getting in the studio working on that. I am working with my brother, John Connor. If everybody know who John Connor is, he was signed to Dr. Dre for a long time. One of the best lyricists in the world. We're working on our second wrestling project called War, Wrestling, Ambition, Respect. War 1, we dropped War 1 2 years ago. We're working on War 2 right now. So yeah, I'm busy. I'm busy with wrestling content. Obviously, my podcast, my mental health podcast, Teasy's Table, where I interview entertainers, pro wrestlers. Shout out to the bro Kevin Knight. He was on there. I just had Aubrey Edwards on there. I do a podcast called Teasy's Table, which is just basically speaking to entertainers all over the world, business owners, whoever. But really, I've been starting with wrestling since I want to really give them that platform to speak on their mental health and and positivity and things in their spirit. So make sure you guys check out Teasy's Table, please do, because it's a great platform for people who want to hear deeper conversations with people in all sorts of entertainment, pro wrestlers, etc. And obviously, the Swerve City Podcast, me and Swerve still doing our thing. We're 7 years in, still cooking, still making great moves with the podcast. We just had we've had so many people. We just had the Grizzly Young Vets on there.
That's all.
We've had everybody you can name that is on the show. So we're blessed, and we're still cooking, still moving, and we still have a lot more to do with that. So
yeah, the Swerve City Podcast, you guys have gotten some really, really awesome interviews. I remember the one like with Kenny Omega. You had the Young Bucks on there, Christian Cage. Some really, I think, in-depth type of interviews that a lot of people just aren't doing. And I think, what do you think separates that podcast from a lot of the other wrestling podcasts like that exist of how people feel so comfortable, with you all to like really express themselves, like the environment that you all facilitate? What do you think sets y'all apart?
Great question. I don't get this question very often. I would say that even like with your platform, from watching your platform, we're kind of alike in the way that we ask our questions. Where we're all wrestling fans and we are in it, and it might be a little different for Swerve because he's in it, he does it, but we try to make sure we're just having a conversation, and that's normally how you get and this. That's normally how you get the best content, is just having a conversation with people and not making it feel like they're getting just the regular basic questions that they're always getting. Because Absolutely. if you could ask them things, you can ask somebody something in the same way that they would get a normal question, but ask it in a way to make them engage and say it in a creative way. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times with a lot of podcasts, a lot of people just ask basic stuff, which is their job, and I'm not going against that. But for the person being interviewed, they get asked the same thing so many times that sometimes they give the same mundane answer. I believe that with us, and we're able to talk to them as human beings. So it kind of helps with Swerve being one of them, and then I can kind of just add in from the deeper type of mindset. You know what I mean? On
Mhm.
how I want to ask things and how I want to do things to kind of get them to open up, even in the same line of work of wrestling where we're asking them. So it's a good thing to be able to do that, but it also takes a lot of research.
Absolutely.
It takes a lot of research. It takes a lot of understanding because the thing about interviewing is it's not about you, it's about the person you're interviewing. And you have to be very selfless to do this job, as in, with certain podcasts, and I know you know this because you do your research. The interviewer tries to make it about themselves, and it's not. It's basically giving a platform to your guests to speak. So it's good to see that you get the opportunity on the Swerve City podcast or Teasy's table to hear different perspectives from the guests that we have on either platform. So
Absolutely. You know what? I think that one of the clear, I don't want to say disadvantages, but disadvantages of wrestling becoming so popular again. There's so much stuff. And I feel like there's sometimes like people are just in a rush of like, oh, I have to talk to this person, I have to talk to this person, I have to talk to this person, to where it's almost like checking a box, and like people don't slow down and like do the research, like, on who they're talking to, what is the why, really getting to some of those important bits. So I always think of, I always tend to gravitate towards, the podcast where you can tell where people are really researching their guests, like, not the same old questions, same old, and in return, the wrestlers won't give you the same old answers. It's very much so a give and take, and so that's one thing that I appreciate about that show. But one person that you mentioned was Kevin Knight, who's also a friend of this show. Probably one of the my personal favorites of the themes that you've created. So
thank you.
talk a little bit about how that relationship came about with you and the Jet.
Well, that's one of my, I'm actually going to say this is one of my great friends in this industry, and you don't really find, too many good friends in the world. He's one of my great friends in this game, and this in my wonderful apartment here. He's come over. He's seen my grandmother. He's come and hang out. So he's been in my house personally.
Mhm.
The Jet is one of the greatest human beings that I know.
Yes.
Great dude, a wonderful, phenomenal dude, humble brother, very, very, very down to earth.
Yes.
And I think that is very hard to find in this line of work because some people get to a certain level and they start to change. And he's been the same dude. We talk every week. Sometimes I just call him, randomly talk to him on the phone, and you know what I mean? We link up and we just catch up on life. And he is honestly one of the best dudes that I know. Great talent. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in the future, whether he stays in New Japan, goes to the goes to AEW, wherever he decides to do in his future. I truly appreciate him and I support him and all that he's doing because he has it. Some people just got it, and some people has to find it, and then some people just born with it. I believe he was born with it. He has the athleticism, and his trajectory on where he's going is absolutely incredible. I truly feel like he's what he's doing and what his potential is going to be. Especially since he had his head on straight, he's going to be one of the biggest stars in the game when he decides to, wherever he decides to take that next level to in the future, whether he wants to be the man in New Japan or go to, get the paycheck where the paychecks are at. I believe that he has a great future. That theme, honestly, I'm gonna be 100% transparent with you. When you've been doing something so long, you have to get re-motivated. You have to
Mhm.
find ways to. Sometimes when you're riding a bike and you're going the same mileage every day, your body kind of gets used to it.
Yeah.
And you have to find ways to trigger your body to help change things. It's the same thing with music. Sometimes you get these songs and you're cranking out these songs and you do so much of them that the inspiration kind of changes. You're like, oh, this is good, but I could do better. Or this was dope. You know what I mean? But that song right there was one of my favorite songs ever made. And he's had that close to a year, or that time I'm 9 years in.
Mhm.
And when I made that record, I was like, this is one of them ones. This and STP, these last two I made, I was like, you know what? These two are phenomenal. These are, you know what I mean? These are great. That's one of the catchiest ones that I've made. It was a lot of fun doing it in the studio. And it's funny because you kind of gotta like take what their thought is and then kind of um you got to take what their thought is and kind of bring it to life,
Yeah.
which is kind of hard speaking for somebody in that sense. You got to be musically inclined to kind of understand that. So I am blessed, honestly, to have that. That song is cranking, and I will give you a exclusive here because I like to give exclusives. There's a remix version with me and Swerve on
No-
that.
Wow, is it coming out?
Yeah, it'll be out. I'm going to put it out on streaming platforms probably August.
Okay.
So it'll be a version with me and Swerve on that. Yeah. That I mean Swerve was like, yo, that's crazy. I gotta get on that one. I said, sure, bro. Let's do it. So there is a remix version with Swerve for that theme. Yep.
Definitely. And I feel like there's a lot of similarities with those two, even as wrestlers,
Yeah.
between
Their
Swerve.
demeanor's a lot alike too. It's like when I talk
Yes.
to them, their demeanor when you talk to them as people, because all of us has hung out together, and I'm like, well, damn, that's like they're like they mirror each other and how they are. So yeah,
Yes,
it's
I echo all the sentiments about Kevin Knight. He's absolutely incredible. And one of the things that we talked about, and we've talked about numerous times, is how he presents himself and like the importance of having a hip hop record as his theme, and in a place like Japan, and basically of how he gets to show himself. And so I think as a person who's been a wrestling fan literally since second grade, I have seen this huge in the last couple years, this push towards hip hop. Everybody's using it for their themes. Like, it's becoming more and more popular. Everybody's looking for that song. Hip hop is really starting to ingrain itself in wrestling. So as a person who makes, some of these records, what's that thought process, of when you're trying to meld, like, you don't want it to sound corny because wrestling themes tend to sound corny and sometimes. And so what is that thought process when you're merging those worlds of hip hop and wrestling?
you know, uh Lyric, I'm gonna give you the honest opinion here. And we're being honest, and I'm just saying this on both sides of the spectrum. As somebody who's started around 2015 and just recently 2014 actually, and just went to 10 years of this, I've seen everything change in the trajectory. So I've kind of just watched from being one of the only people involved at that level to seeing other people do it, to seeing wrestlers get into music, to being a pioneer to help other wrestlers get into music, to help usher in other artists to get into this. And I've seen the whole dynamic change. One, I'm happy it's popular, that it's becoming more popular. I just don't want it to become corny.
Wake it up.
And that is the thing, because I'm starting to see everybody do it. And I have no problem with that. I'm not going to be the old man on the lawn hating. I'm not that dude. Trust me. I want to help everybody get in. I'm solidified. I'm not hating on anybody. So I'm not worried about my spot or nothing like that. I want everybody to eat, and I'm confident in who I am. But what I am saying is that you don't want it to become something where it's just like everybody wants to do it. You know how the world goes.
Yes.
They see
Yeah.
one or two people successful, everybody wants to get into it, and then all of a sudden it can become mundane because it's either not done the right way or people. One thing about wrestling fans, and this is something that we all know, we can tell when people are in it, and then when people aren't in it. You know what I mean? We can
Yes.
feel one thing about the wrestling industry. We filter people in and out very quick on in this community of what we are in wrestling. I am happy for the growth of it. I'm happy to see wrestlers do it because they can take it to another level, especially if the music's good. Because it's something that in this genre of us being African American people, with the way that the wrestling business is, it's good to see more of us get into that lane because we are able to take it to another level. And sometimes it has to be people beyond me. Sometimes, like when I mentored Swerve and got him into this, he can take it to another level because he's on TV. He has the camera on him all the time, so he could take that to another level with his brand and his recognition and what he's doing. So, on the good side of it, Lyric, I'm happy. I'm happy to see it, growing. I'm happy to be able to be a pioneer in this and still be around to help music for people and to help people's brands. But on the other end, I just don't want it to become corny. And I don't want it to become where it just becomes something to do because people think it's something to get in. But the love for the game and what we are as wrestling fans, it doesn't, it doesn't stick out because people just want to get into it. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, I think that we, especially here in America, I think that we've had this age-old debate about loving Black culture and, hip hop and all of the things related to it, but things have gotten so overly commercialized to where when you look at who's behind creating some of these things, it's not always us, the actual originators
Yep.
of, this culture. And like,
100% agree.
there's no shade to that. It's just the truth of the sense of the people who actually originated these themes, these cultures, these sounds are not always at the helm of pushing them to the forefront now. And especially as things become more popular. And that's one thing I personally have always, especially over the past year, been super passionate about is everybody's talking about how Black wrestling is progressing. And I completely agree on the talent side. But progression is truly progression once everything else, it has to be the media, it has to be the administration, it has to be the people working. We're seeing improvement. I mean, like, shout out to AEW, two Black executives, like, right now. We're seeing improvement, but there's still a very long way to go.
100% agree. 100% agree.
Representation can't just be in the ring. It has to be behind the scenes, behind the camera, on the commentary desk, like every single thing. So yeah, I understand what you're saying. And I think another question is, as an originator of this field, I guess, and you see so many people getting into it now, how do you set yourself apart to, as being, I'm not saying that everybody else are pretenders, but how do you set yourself apart as authentic, the real thing, when you do this work and you show your passion through the music that you create?
Great. I've never been asked this before. Great question. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this because I don't really get to open up about these kind of things and on this level. The thing that you want to do, and not to get into my motivational speech version, but I just have to be honest with this, is you have to update your data. It's like a computer. You have to update your data. I have the advantages of being around so long that I know everybody and the wrestling fans know me. But at the same time, I'm not saying I'm LeBron James. I'm not saying this, but I'm just using this as an example. If a young guy comes in and does a 360 dunk, it's like, oh my God. But if you see LeBron do it, it's just another Tuesday, you know? And sometimes your legacy, people can look at your legacy and say, oh, we know him. We know he's going to do great. You know what I mean? And then the newness of the car smell wears off. And then you're known. And then now you have to reinvent yourself. So I've been able to, one thing I've always had the benefit of being blessed is to understand the landscape and when it's time to reinvent. It's almost like the wrestling character. It's almost like the Undertaker. You kind of got to know when to change the gloves, turn into the biker, turn into Big Evil, go back to the Darkness Undertaker, change some things, change the gear, change the music. You have to go through different inaugurations of who you are and change things up. And yeah, I have to do the same thing with wrestling music. Now I have to more pick my spots on how I do it because I've been around so long. And, you have to, it's almost like being a record executive. At some point you get yours and then you have to put other people in position because that's what keeps you going. So if you help get other people in it and help get other people opportunities to get in and get their moment, then if you're attached to that, and if you're like, you help pioneer for other people to get in, then it helps you stay around and stay relevant. But you also too have to master, and this is what I tell people, you have to master when to pop in and pop out. Mm-hmm. Because you can be consistent, but sometimes people can see too much of you. And the appreciation for what you do kind of dwindles down because they can always see you. It's mastering how to make people miss you along with being consistent. It's a very tight line,
That's
you
real.
know, and you have to I have to know when to drop music, when it's time for me to pop outside, and when to make these songs for these people, make a hit record for somebody, and then when to fall back and just do podcasting for a while, focus on my motivational speaking. I think that the mistake that people get into this and being a pioneer and seeing this is that they just try to, like, let's use a me and Josiah Williams, for example, just us two. We both now, at first, we were out there all the time. Now, even though I'm out there, I'm still consistently dropping music. We both now have become great on picking our spots. When we drop a hit record, when we drop something, like we're both consistent where we're not forgotten about, but we're not oversaturating ourselves. And I think a lot of people sometimes when they get into this, because it's new to them, it's that new car smell. Oh, yeah, I want to do hip hop and wrestling, not knowing how the business goes. Me and you are we know people behind the scenes, we know names, we know how this industry works. There's a lot behind this instead of just dropping a Carmelo Hayes freestyle. I think that's going to do something.
Yeah,
Like, I'm not hating or nothing. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, like, we know the behind the scenes of how this works. So when you're behind the scenes and you know how this works, you have to know how to master the angle and know what you can get so that you can get somewhere in this without outside just getting photo ops and showing up to events and because that's cool. It's good, cool for the metrics and the Instagram that you know this person, but the behind the scenes of it, that's a whole different world of this. AEW, WWE, New Japan. Once you know the business and the people and how the infrastructure of this works, it's a whole different world.
absolutely.
So, as a pioneer, I want everybody to come in that's motivated, that are wrestling fans, and to do great. Just have your expectations and knowing how this business works. And then once you understand that, you can move accordingly. But it takes a long time to get there, you know what I mean? Because you got to know the right people in this, like anything. You got to know the right people. So,
Absolutely. And, think about the barriers to entry on top of that by being black. And different things like for me as a woman, and it's just so many different things of sometimes you have to work twice as hard just to get half, and it's just, I think a lot of times, people just don't really understand the ins and outs. I admit I'm still, learning the ins and outs, but, I completely agree about that. And so, you talked some about some of your personal things that you have going on coming down the pipeline. Wrestling wise, what are some goals that you haven't quite completed? Like, who are people that you might want to make music for, or possibly some collaborations that you would love to see, like, on TV? Or do you have any goals still? You've been in this game a long time. So, what are the things that you would still like to do that you haven't done?
well, musically, what I'd like to do is I would like to collaborate with bigger name artists like I said, a music soul child, aka the hustle, or people like that, and help bring them into the lane and us do stuff together and attach our brand names to each other, with me being in the game and then them being big names that can help each other. um Really what I want to do, and musically, outside of bringing that in the forefront, I want to be basically the liaison to help people get in and help people be like the hip hop wrestling guy. I'm the go-to guy people can come to with the right music, the right opportunity, and I have the right connections because I'm in the game and I know the people that something can happen to help them. Kind of like be I want to say a label owner, but kind of like in that sense, you know what I mean? Because I'm in there to help put other people in position. Like I said, I'm cool with my 2 or 3 songs, and then everybody else can have whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody else can eat, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to hog the spotlight here. Somebody has to get in our for our culture and our creed to help others. Somebody's got to be that person, and if I can help be that person that can be that liaison to help bring this to the next level and have the connections to do it, I will absolutely love to do it. I'll have my few songs just to keep my momentum going, and then everybody else can eat, and I can just delegate, and everybody can eat. You know, my goal and my passion right now is in the field of wrestling is to become the sway in the morning of wrestling. That is my goal, the male, the sway in the morning of the wrestling industry, where my Teasy's Table platform, Swerve City podcast, I'm literally the guy that people come to when it comes to the hip hop wrestling media part of this. And with the mental health, motivational speaking, really that is my next pivot, because I want to be able to bring this hip hop wrestling mental health thing all intertwined together. So if Myron Reed's dropping an album, Swerve's dropping a project, Chris Bay, whoever you name, you know what I mean, or anybody in the field of wrestling, when the Wale Manias come around and all these artists are coming by, they stop by Teasy, the sway in the morning of hip hop and wrestling, to do interviews, to do media content, because I'm not only solidified and I have the credentials and the resume, but on the media side, they know when they come to me, they know, oh, okay, this is one of them dudes over here. So doing this really connects, and then bracket off. I'm also doing a new series, obviously called Behind the Theme, where I drop audio and video content on some of the classics. I just did the one for Shane Taylor. I'm about to do the one for Kevin Knight, Take Flight. A lot of the themes that I've made. I'll do a short like voiceover version, and then an in studio breakdown of how the song happened. So those will be happening. And I'm doing something called Teasy's Top Five, a new series that I'm doing, which I'm going to old record stores. I'm getting old vinyls.
Oh,
I'm
that's
getting
it.
old CDs. Content I'm dropping every Tuesday. Teasy's Top Five Tuesdays, and I'll do like my top five Missy Elliott songs, top five Jodeci songs, top five. I mean, it could be rock music, it could be whatever, And I drop those every Tuesday on my YouTube channel, Instagram, TikTok, and I will have a quick breakdown of like my five favorite songs. So with me doing these, I can also do like my top favorite five songs from the Mary J. Blige My Life album, and go in order, from 5 to 1, my favorite songs from that respective project. So I can branch out of wrestling, but still bring it into wrestling. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? People are dying for me to do like my top five theme songs, and I'm gonna wait for people to get that one. My top five, I have my top five wrestling theme songs, hip hop theme songs, and then the top five that I've made. I don't want to offend nobody, guys. I've done like 300 of these, so please don't take it personal. But um, I'm pivoting, and that's the great thing. Is people guys to know how to move outside of what they do to bring it back into what they do. So if I can give you my top five albums from 50 Cent or whatever, that gives you more into my personality. So it brings you in. Oh, he does wrestling stuff too. And so I don't want you to think, the mistake that people make is that they stay so focused on one thing
Absolutely.
that it ends up pigeonholing, and you don't get the outside world to come into what you do. And that is something that I never agreed on doing. So if I could do Teasy's Top Five, if I could do Teasy's Table, if I could do Behind the Themes, if I could do Swerve City Podcast, if I can do live Teasy's Tables at wrestling events, if I could do these things, it'll all bring everything in together.
Absolutely. I think it's so important to not be put into a box, because a lot of times people will want to put you in a box. Everybody's always looking to put, in a category, put us in a category or a box. And so it's very important to branch out of those things. As we wind down, like I have my final question is, you talk about we talk about the growth of hip hop and wrestling, you know, Swerve becoming world champion soon. There's a lot of positive momentum, as these worlds collide. So a year from now, 2 years from now, where do you hope to see the hip hop and wrestling relationship? Where do you hope to see, that going, as far as people coming in, collaborations? Where do you see in the future?
A year from two from now, if I had the crystal ball of what I would like to see that, obviously it's starting to grow, which is absolutely phenomenal. I would like to see more platforms for hip hop and wrestling artists to open up more opportunities for people. I would like to see more platforms, more stage shows, more things that inside the wrestling industry that can help you know what I mean, bring more platforms to that, whether it's, got artists like myself or artists, wrestling artists, more platforms to where it's opened up. I'm glad WWE is doing things like getting Meek Mill and Lil Wayne. I think those things, they're more current on time. Snoop Dogg, I'm glad they're doing that because it's starting to open more doors. Um, I would definitely love to be, one of the leaders of it to help. I would like to be the Paul Levesque of the wrestling hip hop music thing, to be that face to help give other people opportunities, because you have your time, you make your moves, you get yours, and then you open doors to help others get in, to help cement your legacy and help other people cement theirs. I've been blessed to do that, to bring in Rich Lotta, to bring in Swerve, to bring in Anthony King, to bring in these great people that I've, help ushered in, because not only does it help the legacy, but it also helps give people a platform. Somebody has to open the door, just like Swerve did for me with the podcast. So it helps, and I just want hip hop and wrestling to keep having this good dignity. I don't want it to just look like a caricature of what it could be, because like we said, when it becomes popular, then it starts getting and it starts to lose it can start losing its luster. So I would love to be an executive on that in 2 years, be the guy that people go to, whether it's AEW or whatever. Hey, Teasy, can you make this happen? Sure. Be behind the scenes, kind of do that, and then continue just do what I'm doing collab projects with wrestling music and stuff, and just keep doing what I'm doing. But I really want to take Teasy's Table to the next level and be the sway in the morning of that too. So I'm gonna blend both worlds together.
Absolutely. And I look forward to seeing it. This was an awesome interview. Thank you for sharing your time today. I'm really glad that we were able to have this conversation. And please make sure that you follow all of his projects. Obviously, album coming out in June. There's Teasy's Table, and as well as the Swerve City podcast, in addition to some new themes coming out for some AEW wrestlers. So be sure, where can we find you and where can the people follow you?
Thank you. First of all, thank you for the time on Maps and Graps. I appreciate you, Lyric. Thank you so much for the platform and being able to spread awareness to what I'm doing, what I have going on, and things in the future. You guys can go to teasystable.com, my website. Hit me up for everything there, for all things music, podcasting, anything related to that I have going on. Make sure you go to teasystable.com. Subscribe to the YouTube Teasy's Table. Make sure you go to the YouTube Swerve City Podcast. Make sure you subscribe. I'm at Teasy Jones on everything that is Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Is at Teasy Jones. I'm there. Make sure you guys follow the Swerve City Podcast on YouTube. Show love to that. We have some major guests coming soon. You guys don't want to miss it. We always stay current on there. As far as Teasy's Table, my next guest, my episode with Aubrey Edwards just came out. Make sure you guys tune in. My next guest will be Josiah Williams, which will be a great conversation with two wrestling music guys, two of the pioneers in this. That'll be a great conversation. That'll be my next episode. So I thank you so much for the time, Lyric. Thank you so much for this.
Of course. And you can find me at Lyric Wrestling on Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe on YouTube at Lyric Swinton. This past weekend, this show celebrated our first anniversary. So super excited. Happy anniversary to Maps and Graps. So excited to see what the future holds. I will be in Chicago later this week covering New Japan Windy City Riot. So if any of you are listening and in Chicago, make sure you come find me. But other than that, thank you so much, everybody, for listening. I look forward to the next guest that comes on here and for more future episodes. But until next time, I shall talk to you later. Bye.